The Dweller in High Places by Susanna Clarke. To begin with then, my name is Lucy Manners and I am 12 years old. Last summer, my older sister Tiz married Mr. Rainworth. It was a sad change for me because Tiz and I used always to be together. My brother Gowland is with Lord Wellington in Spain fighting the French. So when January came, Papa said he was tired of my long face and he sent me to school, to Mrs. Hackett's in Great Titchfield Street. On the first day, 2 girls approached me. I was pleased, thinking to make new friends, but I soon discovered that that was not their intention. Instead, they called me Skin and Bones, said that my muslin was frayed and my shoes were old-fashioned. There was no end to my faults, according to Emmeline Twist and Amelia Froggatt, and not content with calling me names, they tried to make me afraid with silly stories about ghosts. "Oh, have you not heard?" said Emmeline. "The school is haunted by a mad teacher who was turned out of her place by Mrs. Hackett." "She lives in one of the attics," added Amelia. "Sometimes you can hear her speaking in foreign languages, and sometimes she will call to you down the chimney." "And," said Emmeline with great satisfaction, "those girls who she speaks to die before the week is out." "I do not believe it," I said. "Who has died? No one at all, I expect." One bleak and windy Thursday, Mrs. Hackett gave Emmeline, Amelia and me a long list of German verbs to learn. I had no wish to sit with them, so I climbed up to the top of the house, to a room beneath the attic. I had not been there long, when I heard a noise from overhead, a soft, irregular thumping. I barely had time to consider whether or not I was frightened when a starling tumbled down the chimney and began to fly about the room, battering itself against the walls. A voice hissed down the chimney. "Englishman, Englishman, my bird has flown down. Fetch it up if you please." I thought this a little rude. Nevertheless, I called politely up the chimney. "I beg your pardon, ma'am, but what do you want it for?" "Foolish question," cried the unknown lady. "To eat it, of course." I opened the window in the hopes that the bird would fly out. Then I ran out of the room and up to the attic. It was very dim, with just one skylight that let in the wind and the rain. It smelt of dead things. Something crunched beneath my foot. I looked down and saw that there were little bones, as of birds and mice, scattered over the floor. A dark shape was moving in the dimness. I could not at first make it out, but then I saw a woman's face, and my heart fell to the bottom of my stomach. Her face was at the wrong end of her. It was at the bottom of the dark shape, and her chin was no more than an inch or 2 from the floorboards. I thought I would faint. Suddenly, she stepped into the shaft of gloomy light, and I saw that she was not a woman at all. She was a lioness for the most part. She had, besides, a pair of bedraggled wings, and a sweet but anxious face. Her human breasts were modestly covered with a ragged blue shawl, and her hair had been put into curl papers long ago and never taken out. It was full of knots and tangles. She was altogether such a wretched sight. I could not help but pity her from my heart. We stared at one another. Her lion's tail went from side to side thoughtfully. "I beg your pardon, ma'am," I said, "but are you not a sphinx?" "No," she said airily. "I am the Sphinx. Egyptian sphinxes are many, but the Greek sphinx is only one." "Oh." There was a little silence. "I wonder, ma'am," I began timidly, "if I might comb your hair for you? It certainly needs it, and it is a thing I love to do." She gave a haughty little nod, so I pulled a comb from my pocket and began. Her hair was exactly the sort I liked best, a soft golden colour with a natural curl. "Good maids are hard to come by," I said. "The same for monsters as for human ladies, I suppose." "Monsters?" she cried indignantly. "Who do you call a monster?" "I beg your pardon, but you have the body of a lion and the face and breast of a woman, and— Oh, what nonsense you talk. The world is full of monsters, of which you are certainly one. A fact I would usually be too polite to mention, but you drive me to it. A lion is a sphinx's body with a cat's head on top, which is a very horrid thing. Man is worse. In man, the beautiful head and breast of a sphinx are defiled by the arms of a nasty ape and legs like a forked parsnip. She shuddered. Ugh! There was a whir of wings in the darkness. Her head whipped round. Bird, she said. Starling. They are not a bit kind, they call me spiteful names. Oh, said I know what you mean. There are 2 ignorant, ill-bred girls here who do the same to me. Bite them in 2, she suggested. I do not think Mrs. Hackett would like it if I did that, and anyway my mouth does not open so far. Mine does, she said with much satisfaction. Despite her quarrelsome nature, we became friends that day, and whenever Mrs. Hackett sent me work to do by myself, I would run up to the top of the house and climb out of the skylight onto the roof, and there we would sit, companionably together. She loved to be in high places, looking down at everything. If ladies or gentlemen rode along Great Titchfield Street on horseback, she would peer over the parapet and mutter, Centaurs. Nasty creatures. One day, as I was combing her hair, I said, How did it happen, Sphinx, that you came to London? Oh, that is easily told. I came in a ship attended by handsome young mariners. It was all arranged by a Frenchman called Monsieur Fauval. You see, Lucy, Monsieur Fauval lives in Athens, and it is his task to purchase the most beautiful Greek carvings and sculptures and send them back to France. Imagine his dismay when he discovered that a Scottish lady and gentleman, Lord and Lady Elgin, had arrived in Athens for the same purpose. Furthermore, Lady Elgin was a great favourite of the Sultan of Turkey, who governs Athens. Monsieur Fauval was obliged to watch as great treasures, which ought in his opinion to have adorned Paris, were shipped away to his enemies in London. So he came to me and made me a present of the blue knitted shawl, and begged me on his knees to come to London to persecute its citizens, which, of course, I was glad to do. Good God, I exclaimed. But how will you do that? Well, I will ask them riddles, and when they cannot answer, I will strangle them. Oh, don't! I cried. Oh, please don't. I mean, why should you? It is not as if Monsieur Fauval's present was particularly nice. I can bring you a much prettier shawl than that shabby old blue thing. It is not a matter of presents, she said with dignity. I am the throttler. I am the questioner. I am the guardian of dark doors. I am the dweller in high places. I am a blight upon man. Well, if you say so, dear. It really doesn't sound very nice, but if I remember the tale of Oedipus correctly, he guessed the answer to your riddle, and you were obliged to throw yourself down and dash yourself to pieces. The Sphinx yawned. Yes, Oedipus did claim that, did he not? When will you begin? In London, I mean. Any day now, she said, and began to lick her paw. Privately, I did not think she was quite so industrious as Monsieur Fauval had hoped when he chartered his ship. She had no great opinion of Mrs. Hackett's methods of teaching. I do not think you are learning anything useful, Lucy. Fortunately, I know many wise teachers. My brother, Cerberus, he who guards hell, will fetch up dead people to tell you all their secrets. And then there is Lamia, a delightful girl with the most elegant green scale tail. Oh, you will dote upon her. She will show you how to pluck your eyes out of their sockets and put them back in again. She never explained to me why she thought this would be useful. One day in late February, when it was near to sunset, I said, Sphinx, dear, you know that I am very fond of you and that I wish you would stay in London. But if you continue in your plan to ask the citizens riddles, then I think you must ask me first and let me save London if I can. You know that if you give a wrong answer, then I must begin by strangling you, she said. Yes, Do you think you are so much cleverer than the rest of London? No, indeed. I don't think I am clever at all. But I know you, Sphinx, and perhaps that will help. Very well. My heart thumped like anything. She was silent so long that I grew even more nervous, and could not help saying, "Is it going to be the one about the creature that goes upon 4 legs in the morning, and 2 legs at noon, and then 3 legs in the evening? Because if so, oh, certainly not." "No, I have it. Ready?" "Yes, Sphinx dear." "My first is a person that is praised to the skies, but I shall not praise him, for I hate his lies. My second means comfort for travellers who weary of roads harsh and stony, a journey so dreary. But now enters Lucy, her city to save, with a smile that is cheerful and a heart that is brave." I thought for a moment. "Well," I said, "someone that is praised to the skies is a hero. And I know how much you hate heroes because they always try to make themselves seem important by exaggerating their exploits. And by the by, Sphinx, did I ever tell you that the French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte is considered to be very heroic? And so I think that it is a little contradictory of you, dear, to be doing his work for him. As for the second part, well, a place that gives comfort to travellers is an inn." I began to cry. I could not help it. "And so, put together, they make heroine. And it is really kind of you to say that I am one. And I am really very, very sorry to make you dash yourself into pieces." The Sphinx smiled. "Clever girl," she said, and then gave my face a lick with a pointed pink tongue, which I suppose must be a Sphinx's kiss. And then she leapt off the parapet, down to Great Titchfield Street. And oh, what nonsense that old story of Oedipus is! For the Greek Sphinx has eagle's wings, and how could a winged creature fall to her death? Up she rose again with slow beats. London was sombre and dark beneath her, like a city of graves and mysterious spirits. Which sounds rather dreadful, I know, but I was glad of it, for it was the very thing to please her. The last I saw of her, she was above the silver ribbon of the Thames, turning east towards Greece, and all the red and gold glory of the sunset was reflected upon her, the dweller in high places.
Ghost in the Mechanic by Sarah Dobbs. The girls of Cherrybrook Hill, gossiping round Millie's ices after Sunday school in pastel ankle socks and upside-down cupcake skirts, whispered that he was pretty. The townsfolk, spitting in the sawdust floor of Sam's bar as he shuffled past, shook their heads and called him dumb. But nobody called him by his real name, because they didn't want to know it anymore. Yet that was Mickey Joe, all right. Pretty and dumb. And for reasons he didn't want to go into, especially with himself, he was flat happy with that. It meant nobody except Mung got into his business. Well, him and the broken girl who snuck out her grave and called to him atop Cherrybrook Hill, whispering his name on the dust wind. When no one else could figure how to trick their gasping tractors into breathing regular, farmers sucked in air through cobblestone teeth and said, "Looks like it's the yard for you, girl." And Mickey Joe would trail up to the chicken wire gates of his yard. He would stop, 2 paces from the wire, hook oily thumbs in the bib pockets of his dungarees, and wait for Mung to sit, ass on dust. Viewed from above, tractor, farmer, Mickey Joe, and Mung were the pegs of a rectangle. Without Mung, Mickey Joe would have been forced to position himself in an isosceles triangle. He wasn't fond of triangles, all knife edges and imbalance. "You think you can put her right for me, boy?" the farmer would say. Mickey Joe might not look up. The farmer would look at Mung. If Mung growled and bared that yellow smile, Mickey Joe would trail back into the yard. If Mung did not growl, Mickey Joe would nod, and the farmer would go on his way. When the dust clouds woken by the farmer's footsteps slept once more, Mickey Joe would get to work, as he did that day. His body found a simple beauty in jigsawing engines back to working. But tractors now, he loved them the best. They were easy to bring back to life. To Mickey Joe, each part had a number. He looked at them and saw puzzle shapes of metal formulas to be solved. If it was missing, replace it or add something up to compensate temporarily. If the numbers were off, recalibrate equals fixed. After, the machines would blare around cornfields like brothers roughhousing over some soon-forgotten quarrel, like Mickey Joe and Donovan, the friend he'd once called a brother. Though likely thing was, he and Donovan weren't never forgetting their quarrel. Mickey Joe straightened. Trouble. It tugged at his ordered contentment, frayed his organized illusion. Something did not fit. He put down the wrench and wrung his fingers on a greasy rag, hunkered on the ground. He propped his back against the tractor wheel. Mung eyeballed Mickey Joe from the gates the farmer had left ajar. The dirt looked dark. Mung had just took a piss. "Sure thing, Mung. I gotcha. I'm trying." Mickey Joe released a held breath. It was the damned open gates what had gone and done it. See, in a world full of angles, Guy wants to keep things neat. Should have closed the gates. Somebody turned up the sun. Barely imperceptible, but a definite shift. The sunlight, which had been happy making constellations on the scrap awaiting reincarnation, was up to something new. Tools lost their definition, trees lost their shadow. The lot flattened out, not Mickey Joe's anymore, just dust with no purpose. It stretched on forever, without any concept of what forever meant. He placed one palm on the tractor tire and one to the earth. The dizziness retreated. The shadows locked back. Mung snuffled at his own piss stain. Mickey Joe went on, scraping the grease off each finger with the rag. The sensation reminded him the world had popped back. His fingers had once belonged to a boy who had stroked a girl's face atop Cherrybrook Hill. "I dare you." "No, I dare you." "I hold your feet. You reach over. You've longer arms." "No, I hold your feet. You're lightest. But it is just a flower, Daisy." "Exactly, Mickey Joe, a daisy. In winter, come on, I hold you." "No, I'll hold you." Mung growled. Mickey Joe should have predicted the probability, the ratio of her weight to his strength. A louder growl. The noise brought Mickey Joe back to the yard. "I hear you, Mutt." But the memories were always at his heels, like Mung. A bark like a thunderclap. "I'm hanging in there, Mung. Don't be worrying." But he wasn't hanging in there. Something had slipped out of kilter, something he could not recalibrate or replace. Numbers that refused to be knit and ordered. Something told him he wouldn't resist the song from the clifftop tonight. He would go back to Cherrybrook Hill and face what he had done. "That's that, then. No sense holding off." Mung raised rheumy eyes. Only when Mickey Joe swung the gate shut, pretending to leave without him, did the dog hobble forward. The boy pushed the gate back, allowing for Mung before he locked up. There was no real need. Folks can't steal what ain't there, but such was his habit. Mickey Joe's slow, determined pace got him about half a yard up the dirt path when he stopped. He put his weight on one hip, slung a look over his shoulder, eyebrow up, to check on Mung's progress. The dog investigated the nearest tumbleweed. It only moved forward once Mickey Joe had it on. The boy often wondered whether the dog would still follow if he didn't stop and check. But he always stopped and checked. Dust. At first it was just a rumor, a whisper on the thickening air. In a dwindling farming province such as Cherrybrook, where the dust ravaged crops and tore away topsoil, Mickey Joe was about the only fella who enjoyed the storms. He could do nothing to stop 'em, so would stand out in his yard like a lightning rod and brace the dust rage. He imagined that the dust told him tales of faraway plains, pasts and futures, that he and Daisy were just a couple of particles of dust among countless. But that afternoon Mickey Joe got mad. See, as the whisper grew to thunder, and the thunder roared like a blown transmission, it became clear he wouldn't make it to the hilltop. Mickey Joe tailed back to the yard. He took the screen door off its hinges and bolted the other behind him. When Mung finally made it home, Mickey Joe thought the dog would just tuck up in the porch. In the kitchen, Mickey Joe stabbed at a supper of chicken and potato, her song swirling round his skull like dust in a basin. He pinched the candle out, counted down to sleep. In the morning, the air retained the dust. It smelled of sulphur and potatoes and felt thicker than usual. Mickey Joe scratched his chest and, barefoot, crossed the desert the dust had made of his yard. He slopped out last night's meal for Mung's breakfast. Stopped dead. He closed the gate. Mung's lifeless body lay half-hidden under layers of dust. He hadn't sought cover anywhere else. Not in the old bomb shelter just across the way. Not even down the rabbit holes he liked to scrape out. He just waited. Waited for Mickey Joe to come and open the gate. Sam's boa did not welcome the newcomer. Men sat in the comfortable dock, more than ready to forget the drought and the decrepit harvest. Though empty, the place remained stubbornly full. But Mickey Joe came in anyways, and Sam wordlessly set a beer before him. The room would adjust. "Hey, boy, you take your chin off of your chest every once in a while. You might bother yourself to come and apologize to us all." "Easy, Don," Sam said. Mickey Joe supped his drink. "What's the matter, boy, huh? Break your own voice day you broke my sister's neck." Sam leaned his elbows on the bar. "Now listen here, Don, I get your meaning, but I ain't itching for any more trouble from you." Mickey Joe barely heard Sam's words. The room buckled in on him. Donovan's anger had a shape, a spewing web of numeric strings, unsystematic, pulsing, random. Mickey Joe wished the room was full of tens. 10 was faithful, sturdy, fundamental. There were no 10s in Donovan. Nausea spider-crawled up the walls of Mickey Joe's stomach. Blinking, he tried to sort a pattern in the anger, some harmony or rhythm. But the numbers came too fast. Mickey Joe's fingers twitched, counting. If he could just figure the equations, factor it down, make it manageable, breathable. But the numbers resisted, doubled, spliced. "Daisy's dead, and here you are walking round like you're the one was wronged." Mickey Joe crossed his arms over his face, as if that could deflect the chaos. But it was behind his eyelids. Everything was out of balance. "So I know why she don't speak," Donovan said. "Common trait with the dead tends to be. But what's your problem? Somebody drop you off a hill and all?" Mickey Joe saw the flicker in Donovan's jaw, the shake of his head. Donovan fell blank again. Not even a sea of O's, just empty zeros. Mickey Joe staggered out of Sam's bar. His tornado steps blew him, finally, to the epicenter of all his troubles. Daisy Morris waited on top of Cherrybrook Hill. Arms across her chest, she tapped her sandals on the grass. "Well, what do you know, Mickey Joe? Why ain't you ever been round to see me? I've been after talking with you for a long while." Mickey Joe saw different Daisies, all in the same face. There was the girl he had known, the woman she might have been, and the one whose mama had had to put her in the ground that winter. Mickey Joe sank to his knees. Dust ground the backs of them like dirt in gears. His body chugged with sobs, his tears thick as oil. "I wish I could fix you." All 3 images of Daisy stepped forward. She shimmered like a heat wave, each version ghosting in and out. "I ain't broken, dummy," she said. Mickey Joe closed his eyes. thought he could see the world in rows of tens, shapes, not squares, circles. He was sure he felt a kiss press his forehead. The words, "And you ain't neither." Mickey Joe looked up. Daisy was gone, her kiss drying. He thought he heard a growl, but it was only thunder. A raindrop plinked on his forehead, dead center. He healed the tears from his face, and his skin felt raw, but clean. Mickey Joe stood, descended from atop Cherrybrook Hill. He had a long trek ahead of him to the Morris farm. When finally he made it, Donovan stood like a statue behind the screen door, and Mickey Joe heard Mrs. Morris holler out, "Who is it?" And Donovan said, slow, "It's Mickey Joe, Mama." It started to hiss with rain. Beneath the rain, Mickey Joe knew the dust was still there, would always be there. It would carry tales to faraway plains, pasts and futures, hinting of a girl who snuck out of her grave and called out his name atop Cherrybrook Hill, singing, "Mickey Joe, Mickey Joe," on the dust wind. For the first time in a long time, Mickey Joe had something to say.
ID by Phil Emery. I have lost my card. That is my first coherent thought. A little while ago I awoke feeling weak and nauseous, sprawled in a damp, stinking, narrow little alley. I lay gathering my strength until I felt able to haul myself off the ground with the aid of a drain pipe coming down one of the walls. Pulling myself up, the nausea increased and I had to fight it down, clinging to the pipe. I leant my back against the wall and fumbled through my pockets. Then came the thought, surging horribly up through my floundering mind. I have lost my card. I can remember nothing before waking. I don't know who I am, not even my name. My clothing consists of training shoes, jeans, a shirt, and a raincoat. All my pockets are empty except one. I fish out a crumpled street map of a city with a jag of paper protruding from its pages. I take this out and read it. It's an address. My address. And a name, though not mine. A female name. A friend. Lover. Relative. I stagger out of the alley into the street. It's morning. There are many people and a busy road. I'm in the center of the city. Noting the street name and leafing through the map, I find the address on the paper is miles away. But I must go. I must find the woman. She must know who I am. Perhaps she can even help me find my card. Across the road, I recognize the symbol for an underground train station. A means of transport, a way to reach the address. I run towards it. There is a screeching sound, and I realize I've run straight into the road. I turn, and there's the front of a car stopping inches away from me. Horns blare, and there are angry shouts. Nausea threatens to rise again. I thrust myself unsteadily across the road and slump, panting against the threshold leading into the underground. My breath comes back. I push away from the threshold and walk into the station, but then stop again, standing and staring. It's no use. The people form lines, queuing at several turnstiles. They slip their cards into slots on the turnstiles, pluck them out again, and pass through, heading for the train platform. But I can't pass through. I have lost my card. I walk slowly back into the street. It would be the same with the buses or the taxis, because I know without a card no transport is available to me. I must walk all the way through the city. It will take the whole day. I notice for the first time a cold wind, and buttoning my raincoat, I begin my journey. I move through busy streets, past large stores, office blocks, hotels, cinemas. Strangely, it must be nearly an hour before it occurs to me that I don't know what I look like. I turn to the next shop window I come to and stare at the reflection, not recognizing my face. It's as if I've never seen it before. Now it really hits me. I don't know the face looking back at me from the window. I don't know its name, what the owner has done, hopes, believes, what that person is. How long have I stared at the glass? I turn my head, but no one seems to be looking at me, so perhaps it hasn't been long. I turn back for a last look at my stranger's face before going on, and for the first time notice that inside the window is a restaurant. Am I hungry? No. I'm hungry for memories, for the past, not food. Besides, the nausea is still there. I couldn't keep anything down. I couldn't buy anything. I have no card. I walk on. Gradually, the footpaths become even busier, congested with people. From this, I guess it's near the midday rush hour. I ask someone the time. My voice, like my face, is unfamiliar, quite throaty with no strong accent. It's 12:20. I come to a square. At the centre is a small garden with grass, flowers, and benches where a few people in coats sit eating lunch or reading. I sit on a bench, pull out the street map and study it. My progress has been good, but there's still so very far to go. I flop back on the seat. These people around me in the square all have cards. Could I steal one? Use it to get a train or taxi to the address on the paper? No, I could never do anything so terrible to someone. An impulse. Should I perhaps go back to the alley where I awoke this morning and search it for my own card? Then if I found it, everything would be all right. I would know who I am. No. I looked all around. The card wasn't there. My only hope is the address and name on the piece of paper. I get up and walk on. All through the afternoon I walk. The wind becomes even colder, penetrating my clothes. It must be the colder months of the year, autumn or even winter. I walk as quickly as I can to try and keep warm. Gradually the large shops, restaurants, office blocks give way to smaller buildings and houses. It must be winter, as I thought, because it gets dark early. I'm still weak. I don't feel any stronger than this morning. The nausea is still there, curled in the pit of my stomach, threatening to rush up and overwhelm me. It's more difficult to find the way now. The streets are narrower and smaller, with more junctions and turn-offs. The street map is constantly in my hand. Road names are harder to find. Even though the streetlights have come on, everything still seems very dark. I find myself in a poor, run-down part of the city suburbs. Graffiti is sprayed on walls. The footpaths are dirty and strewn with litter. Signposts have been partly or completely torn down. I move past a telephone box, a ruin of a bus shelter, and stop beneath a streetlight to consult the map again. Suddenly something rams into my back and I fall, hard, elbows first. Pain jabs through them. Then more pain in my ribs, back, stomach. I'm being kicked. As the force of the kicks roll me over, I catch glimpses of my attackers. There must be 4 or 5. They're young, no more than 20, any of them, shadowy, jerky shapes above me, snarling as they kick. Why? Do they know me? Do they perhaps have some grudge against me? Then the kicking stops and hands begin digging at me, probing into my pockets. So that's it. They want to rob me. Nausea sweeps through me again and the world swirls. I hear a nearby car accelerating, then screeching to a stop. The youths swear in unison. Footsteps. They're running. Then there are more footsteps, these coming towards me. More hands. These lift me carefully to my feet. 2 tall, uniformed policemen stand in front of me. They ask if I'm all right. Did those little bastards hurt me? Did they take anything? Their voices seem far away. I can barely make them out. And, strangely, they seem to have difficulty hearing my replies, so I repeat them louder. It almost seems I'm shouting. I'm not really hurt, I tell them. No, nothing was stolen. Then they ask me my name. I don't answer. They ask again. And again, I say nothing. Then they ask to see my card. So I tell them I have to, there's no other choice. I tell them that I have no card. I've lost it. Even as I say it, the concern drains out of the policemen's faces and they turn away. I carry on talking. I tell them the address I'm trying to find. Can they help? Could they perhaps take me there? But they pay no attention. They get back into their car and drive away as if they no longer see or hear me. I watch them go, and after they're out of sight, I still watch for a time. Perhaps I hope they'll come back. Don't know. Then it starts to rain. Looking about, I see the street map more battered than ever in the gutter. I pick it up. Not far now. I turn up the collar of my raincoat and go on. The rain is coming down hard, splashing off the ground, soaking me. I could shelter in a doorway, but I daren't stop. I know I don't have much time left. The nausea hasn't receded this time. It's worse than ever. I'm so weak I can barely walk. And the darkness. The streetlights are on, I can see them, but everything still seems so dark. But here it is. This is the street. God, there it is. That's the address. I stumble along the street and across the road to a tall, dingy house converted into flats. The names of the occupants next to their room number are arranged one under the other by the side of the front door. The name on my piece of paper is there. Room number 5, 2nd floor. I lean against the door and raise my hand to knock, to hammer as hard as I can manage. But the door collapses, swings in. I didn't notice it was fractionally open. I collapse with the door, sprawling onto the cold, tiled floor of the hallway. I can't get up. Don't have the strength. So I crawl. The stairs are in front of me. I start dragging myself up, hands and knees, one step at a time. I manage to reach the next floor. A light bulb suspended naked from the ceiling glows, but makes no impression on the darkness. Of course it doesn't. How could it? How could anything? I can hardly see more than a few feet now. Looking up at the first door, I have to strain to make out the number. No, not that one. I pull myself along to the next. Nausea. Getting worse all the time. To think clearly. This is it, though. Number 5. My hand struggles up, makes a fist, thumps the door. I hit as hard as I can, but the noise is nothing more than a gentle tap. I wait. Finally, the door opens. I look up and see a woman. Dark hair, I think, but I can hardly see. I speak, and she looks down. She looks puzzled. Not concerned, not even surprised. Just puzzled. I say the name of the woman on the piece of paper, but she doesn't react. She reaches down and lifts something off the floor with one finger. It's a sopping wet raincoat. My raincoat. She holds it away from her with the finger. Mouth turns down with distaste. Then reaches down again and lifts another dripping object from the floor. My shirt. I scream at her, but there's no sound. I reach a hand up, but it's not there. Nothing left. No voice. No body. No card. Still looking puzzled, the woman slowly shuts the door. Only the dark left now. I'm not. Conviction by Kate Scott. It's not a case of simple escape. It's more that I like to feel stretched, and to silence my mind by making my body the predominant part. I even enjoy the torture of it, the rhythm of the repeated thought. No more. No more. My brain the whip, urging the flagging body on until I finally allow myself to fold over in a bow to myself, a salute to my own determination. I'm always tense running by the canal, on the lookout. If they knew, people would think I was crazy to run here. It is outside the accepted borders, and even though it isn't actually prohibited, it's understood that you aren't supposed to go outside your own territory. Unpleasant rumours persist about what happens to those who cross the boundary from north to south. I'm not a rebellious person, but I like the idea of extension. I like the feeling of going beyond. Our lives are so curtailed now, run along the government's tight beginnings, middles, and ends. We have security, we have structure, but we have no choice. No undulations in our paths. I've always felt suspended in my own life, not yet committed to any particular direction, and so I run the same route over and over, looking for some new turn in my head. Just as I'm passing the second lock of the canal, listening to a song on my MZ60, Merrin interrupts. Jim, I flip the switch from one-way receive to communication, the song automatically pausing itself. Yes? You're running then? Merrin sees my runs as self-indulgent. She sees actions as either contributing or not to the good of society. My running definitely falls into the latter category. I was before you called. Perhaps it is feeling defensive that makes me doubly shocked to see that a boy has appeared in front of me. I haven't been paying attention, and so I haven't seen his approach, but he's probably come from one of the warehouses just behind me. All right, he says. Merrin, I have to go. I switch off the receiver. Hello, I say, hoping I sound relaxed. I'm very aware of my exposed skin. The boy is about 16, with dyed black hair with blonde roots. He's wearing one of the rubber suits canal workers wear to protect their skin from the chemicals, and for a split second, before I see the scar, I wonder if he really is a worker, or if it is some kind of statement. Some kids from our territory do dress up as if they're from the canal side. But the boy must have got splashed during his work. The right side of his face is covered in a melted skin scar, and he is evidently self-conscious about it, because he puts his hand up to his face as he sees me notice. Nothing like this ever happened to you? He points to the scar, becoming defiant. No. Lucky. Lucky you. He pauses, and then turns and spits on the ground, narrowly missing my shoe. Shall I try and make a run for it? No, I can handle this. It's just a boy. A boy from the canal side. You're from the north, he says. Yes, I am, I say. I'm trying to keep my face slack and unresponsive like his. I will myself not to smile, not to seem as if I am trying to get him on my side. A smile would be giving away power. A smile would be telling him I am scared. As if he didn't already know. What are you doing here? For a second I think the question is genuinely curious, and I'm about to explain. Then I catch myself as I see the sneer
twitching his lip. "Turned the wrong corner." "I'll say." He spits again, this time hitting the toe of my right shoe. We both look at it, and then we look up at each other. You read all sorts of things about the canal people, about how they're not like us, they're subnormal, violent, the usual prejudiced cant. Merrin rants endlessly about the misrepresentation of the canal people, even though we don't actually know any. Merrin is a radical. That is, she is passionate and concerned, and in a constant fit of motivated anger. I am just your average right-thinking, or rather left-thinking, well-intentioned liberal. And like all well-intentioned liberals confronted with reality, I am petrified, but desperate not to show it. "Turn the wrong corner," I repeat. I deliberately ignore the gesture of the spit. "You do that a lot," the boy says. He sounds neutral now, confident that he's established his authority, his superiority in the situation. "What?" I am shocked. This is the first time I have ever seen anyone on my runs by the canal. I've flattered myself that I have the gift of fading into the background. "You seem to get lost a lot. Right here," the boy says. "It's funny, that. Getting lost in exactly the same place each time." "I suppose it is." The sweat from fear, as opposed to exercise, is very different, I note, in the part of my head that remains detached from what is going on. Another part of my mind, the hysterical side, is showing me headlines. "North City native killed in canal side brawl. Canal boy goes berserk, maims North City man in lock side fight." "But you're not really lost, are you?" His eyes have a hypnotic stare. He doesn't look inside himself. That's what scares me most. Just in the way that my mind seems to be separating off in lots of different directions. What I should do, what has just been said, what might come next. His mind seems to be elsewhere too. And I don't like to think what that means. "No, I suppose I'm not." I say this as firmly as I can, trying to sound sure of myself, trying to get the power back. "What is it? Some sort of tourist trip?" He isn't reacting to my tone. "No, I just like to run here, that's all." His face slams shut. I've produced some signal, become a representative for all he hates. "You just like to run here." Each word is a spike that he is sticking into the ground around me. I couldn't move if I tried. He is fencing me in with his anger. "Must be nice to be able to go wherever you want. Surprised you want to come here, though. Place where all the crap ends up. Do you know what's at the top of this canal?" I nod. Of course I know. It's the pure waters. The transparent stream that winds its way through our flats and offices in the north. Music is piped in alongside its sparkling perfection, unlike the stagnant, still canal. "Yeah, your perfect little stream. And then you put your crap in it and don't worry if we get splashed, right? The north has to be kept perfect." I don't know what to say, I just keep looking at him. "You make me sick," spitting the words out like bullets. I stand there and take them. It's all I can do to keep from nodding in agreement. What have I been thinking of, anyway? Seeing running by the canal as some sort of freedom, leaving the boundaries behind. But to this boy it must seem like a taunt. Look at me. Look at what I have. If only I could explain how little freedom we enjoy for all our clear water. But he wouldn't understand. And who could blame him? He has the melt scar, I have clear skin. He wears a protective suit, I bear my body. I think of Merrin. She is angry too, but she has faith in herself, in her ability to change things. She organizes huge internet rallies where people click in their protest posters to crash the websites of blacklisted companies. At some point, I have become the embodiment of all the apathy Merrin rails against. It isn't enough that I agree with her. I don't act. It doesn't seem to matter to her that I don't feel smart enough or sure enough to act. She knows that running is my respite, and she sneers at it. sees it as selfish. She'd think my route patronizing if she knew. I stare at the boy. Can you help me get out? What? For the first time he sounds startled, uncertain. I have left the script behind, and I see again that he is just a boy, a young boy, with a scar. I want to leave. What? Properly get out? He looks incredulous. Do I really know what I'm saying? I think again of Merrin, of her constant static anger. Properly get out, I reply firmly. You're mad, the boy says, trying to laugh. He isn't able to. He can see that I'm serious. You really mean it? He says. The terror constricting my spine suddenly loosens with his look of tentative admiration. It suddenly seems vital to make this boy like me. The only way I can think of doing that is to destroy every assumption he has, even if that means asking him how to destroy myself. Yes, I really mean it. All right, then. I'll show you, says the boy. He turns and begins to walk fast off towards the warehouses. Well, come on, then, if you're coming. He starts running down one of the narrow lanes between the buildings, the mud surface pock-marked with the footprints of the canal workers. I follow him, slowly at first, but then picking up pace. We're heading to the high wires. I realize he is going to show me one of the famous gaps, the irregular openings in the high wire fencing that marks out the world we're permitted to live in. I've always drifted. At first, Merrin saw this as a conscious rejection of the narrow lines we are given to live within. Now she sees it for what it has always been, a lack of courage to think, to decide, to act. Now I see my runs not as escape, but as training. What do I have to go back to? Merrin's disappointments? My frail protests at the social preoccupation with preening primped happiness? There's one! He is pointing ahead to a gap, deceptively innocuous at this distance. His eyes are watching to see whether I will try to back out of it. I peer ahead. I don't know what has got into me. Here I am, trying to be some kind of hero. Make some sort of statement. I'm not sure I'm up to it. Suddenly there is the sound of running feet. A group of armed guardsmen appear from another of the narrow lanes. I almost feel relief. I can't go through with it now, and even the boy can't blame me. I look back at the guardsmen, who are within a few meters of us now, and feel my breath catch in my throat. It's Merrin. Merrin is there, with the guardsmen. With them, among them, one of them. I look down at the MZ-60 I am still clutching. The location switch is on. I must have flicked it when I was running. She knew exactly where to find me. Maybe she always knew. Some part of me isn't even shocked. I have heard of such conversions before. The greater the height, the darker the fall. I look at her and she looks back, unflinching. It is the face of someone who has changed beyond all recognition. I look at the boy, no longer afraid to smile, and he smiles back. We both know I won't make it. I'll be brought in one way or another, but I can feel a thought running in both our heads. Perhaps this is just the beginning of a story. The story of a runner who makes it. The thought shivers down my spine. I recognize the feeling. It's happiness. The happiness of conviction.
Expecting by Catherine Mant. Carl says, if you go and get pregnant, I'm out of here. So
I go and get pregnant, and he's out of there. That's after he's found all these unopened packets of the pill under the bed, and seen me throwing up my tea every evening, and put two and two together and made it come to a lifetime of responsibility. You can't blame him. But I can't afford the rent on my own, so I'm out of there too. That's how I find myself in this 5-storey end of terrace in Whitechapel. I'm caretaking for some friends of Carl's while they raise the cash to convert it into executive apartments with a wealth of original features. My bit's the attic, which is the only floor half fit for human habitation. It's mine, rent-free for a good 9 months, which should take me up to when the baby comes. If the baby comes. Sometimes I only half believe it. This place is so creepy it's hard to know what to believe. You'd go out of your mind here and nobody will know the difference. Here's my routine. I wake up first thing and it's freezing. I rub a hole on the grime on the window pane above my bed and stare out over the rooftops. Then I lie back with a blanket over my head and think of Mary Poppins while I'm trying to shut out the noise. Footsteps. Thud, thud, thud below it. Only I know it isn't footsteps because there's no one else in the house and next door's empty. So I'm imagining it. Maybe. Or when I can't put it off any longer, I race to the loo 2 floors down, clapping my hands and banging my feet on the boards in case there's rats. So while I got my head down that bog one morning that I first hear the baby crying. Then that flapping like bare feet running on lino. And the wailing stops. This time I know it's my imagination. There's no baby for miles, unless you count the one inside of me. Next time I hear it, I decide it is the one inside of me. Trying to tell me something. Spooky or what? Most days I'm in my attic painting, except Tuesdays when I sign on. I daub and smudge and smoke and eat lime pickle. And the smell of the oils and the terps gets all mixed up with the smell of the pickle when it's good. I catch myself licking the top of the terps bottles one day and just stop myself before taking a swig. Come 6 o'clock, my head's down that loo again. Then I just mooch about a bit and tell myself stories and listen. 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 I won't know what I'm listening for till I hear it. We all have places we can't go. The places I'm frightened to go are mostly in my head. But some are real. There's one right here in this attic. It's a tiny cupboard high above my bed. I can't go there, but I think about it all the time. I feel it's forbidden, but I know the only way to stop being scared is to look. I will look. Soon as it's daylight and this is just a normal, cheerful little garret in Whitechapel. I wait till the sun's come round far enough to pick out a spot on the wall. Then I balance on 2 old phone books on my bed and pull that cupboard door open fast before I can change my mind. Something dead flutters out and I scream and fall off the bed and scramble out to the landing. I feel stupid because how can something flutter if it's dead? An hour later I poke my head round the door and it's still there, lying by the bed where it fell. I thought it might be a dead owl, but it's not. It's a little package wrapped in tissue with a faded ribbon round. I'll leave it there and go out and get another jar of pickle. Next day I open the package. It's a ring of yellowish ivory with a silver bell attached. My baby's rattle. I can tell it's old because it's got that faint smell of urine you get in junk shops. In the back of my mind I have this feeling I already knew it was in that cupboard. It's kind of familiar. Here's what's puzzling though. Did I put it there myself? This place is so quiet it's doing my head in. Silence has a way of turning itself into sounds, and you can't tell if they're real or not. What I am hearing more and more is this baby crying and then footsteps. Bare feet flap, flap, flap on lino. And then it stops. It's got to be a trick I'm playing on myself. It's got to be. Because if it's not, it's ghosts. This bloke's coming from some Georgian Preservation Society. The owners want me to show him around and keep him sweet because they don't want any complications with the planning. I'm expecting frock coat and buckles, him being a preserved Georgian, but it's head to toe Armani and aftershave so strong I have to purse my lips so I don't retch. He eyes me up on the doorstep, fancying his chances, I can tell, even though my face is purple with not retching. I offer him a sandwich. Lime pickle, he says, trying to give it up. Well, he's darting about all over the place with a "now that is nice" every time he crashes into a broken shutter or falls onto a sooty grate. He knows a bit about the house. Built for an 18th century merchant, he says. Went down in the world, used as lodging rooms, then storage. That's why it's so wonderfully untouched. I show him the rattle. Partly I want an opinion, but mostly I want to distract him from a lump of dope on the bedside table. Teething ring, he says, hardly glancing. So there would have been babies in the house, I casually inquire. Certainly. Any die here, even more casual. More than likely, he shouts. This is because he's got his top half out the attic window admiring the chimney stack. I spot the rusty point of an old nail on the frame about to sink into the elbow of the Armani. I decide not to mention it. I'm sitting on the bed wriggling my bare feet, which were as pretty as the day I was born, wondering how to bring up the topic of ghosts when he jerks around with a bit of an 18th century F as he feels his sleeve rip. Always open to suggestion, I tell him. But he's down the stairs with a thanks, I'll let myself out before I can open my mouth. Maybe he's guessed I'm not as wonderfully untouched as the house. That afternoon I'm poking about in the first floor front to suss out what Mr. Georgian Preserve found so bloody marvellous about it, and I find my name. Louisa. Scratched on the panel behind the door. As soon as I find it I know that's what I'm really looking for. Else why would I be in there? Sometimes I just wish Carl would come and find me. Same afternoon I walked down to Brick Lane to find a girl I used to know called Fat Mary. She's always hanging around Brick Lane. Can get you anything. I don't find her. On the way back I nick a packet of henna from a market stall. There's no instructions so I make it up. Must do all right because it turns my hair an amazing red. Afterwards I notice there's rusty stains like old blood all over the bath and the floor and up the wall and on my hands. It looks as though somebody's been murdered in there. I feel like bloody Lady Macbeth. I've always been a wild child. That's why it's great I'm in this big spooky house on my own. I could do whatever I like. Be an artist, dye my hair. It's best without Carl. He was always so sodding predictable now, come to think of it. It's days since I've done any painting. Too busy being sick. I wonder if it's normal. I wonder if I should get one of those tests from the chemist to make it, like, official. I don't know if it's thinking about babies, but I suddenly remember Mum. It's nearly a year now. It'll be a laugh to ring out of the blue and tell him I'm expecting. God, that shake 'em. Never could take Carl, which is why I walked out on my 16th birthday. Soon as it was legal. I'm going back now if you paid me. I put that baby's rattle on the shelf in the hall because I'm too spooked to keep it in my attic. Every time I go past I'm surprised it's still there. Somehow I'm expecting somebody or something will have collected it. As soon as I get my gyro I'll get some nice little baby clothes. Then I think, suppose this is a phantom pregnancy. What a joke. A real ghost baby. 3 times a day there's this wailing and footsteps. Wish I'd never had the idea of ghosts. I'd rather I was going mad. I've got to do something about it. I have another go at finding Fat Mary. She's sitting behind the till at her dad's all-day grocer's. Can you find me a vicar, I ask. Her dad's watching me from behind a pile of yams. Piss off, she says. I'm serving. I pick up a standard and flip her £1. What you done to your hair? She says. What you want a vicar for? Henna, I tell her. An exorcism. Oh, right, she says, banging the change on the counter. Come back Tuesday. By Tuesday morning, I'm in some kind of a state. All night I've heard the baby crying over and over, and these flapping footsteps. Somebody running. Then the wailing stops. 10 minutes later, it started again. I look at myself in the bathroom mirror and my face has gone a kind of dead white. I tear over to Fat Mary to see if she got me a vicar. Better than that, she says. Turns out she knows this bloke called Gary, who changed his name to Hassan and is well experienced in the occult. Done loads of exorcisms, apparently. He'll come over tonight. He's about 50, fat, with a greasy grey ponytail. I tell him about the wailing and the footsteps like bare feet running, and that I think maybe a baby was murdered in the house. I've only just thought of murder, but now I have. It's obvious. I reckon I need to get him interested. I've taken my shoes off and wound paper stars in my hair because that's the least I can do. I'll show him the old bloodstains in the bathroom. Then I'll remember it's henna, but I think it's better not to tell him that. He wants to be alone at the top of the house, so I'm to wait downstairs. I give him the rattle in case it helps, and he hands it back and tells me to hold on to it. After he's gone thumping up the stairs, the ghost baby's cries start, louder than I've ever heard them. If it is a ghost, it knows he's here and it's going to be exorcised. I retch, but it's not morning sickness this time, it's terror. I drop the rattle and then the pain starts low in my belly, and I know what's happening. Know it even before the blood comes. I run down the passage towards the stairs, and all I can hear is that ghostly wailing and the familiar sound of feet flap, flap, flap on the lino. That's what I've been hearing below me in the house all these weeks. My own bare feet running. I know what happens next. The crying stops. Suddenly I know why it stops. I scream for Hassan. Don't do it. But it's too late. His head comes over the banister at the top of the stairwell. He's shouting at me to calm down and says I won't be troubled any more. Got rid of it for you, he says. Like you asked. And I know a baby has been done away with in that house. My baby. My ghost baby. Real baby. Baby that was going to be.